I know that's your determination, but that wasn't my question, was it?
That was
My
my
question
answer.
We're raising the temperature of this conversation, and be careful.
And I do apologize.
Florida plastic surgeon Dr. Ben Brown is accused of killing his own wife during a cosmetic procedure, but the defense says the science doesn't support that.
You are not a toxicologist, correct?
I am not a toxicologist.
It will be up to the jury to decide which of the two experts to believe.
I'll take you inside that tense courtroom battle and why the judge's decision could become one of the most important rulings before Dr. Brown's trial.
Hillary Ellington Brown was 33 years old, a mother of three, a wife, and an employee at her husband's own practice, Restore Plastic Surgery in Gulf Breeze, Florida. On November 21st, 2023, Hillary came in for procedures she had every reason to feel comfortable with. This wasn't her first time in that chair. She was having an abdominal scar revision, liposuction on her arms, lip injections, and some laser work around her eyes. Routine, at least on paper. But according to investigators, something was different about that day almost from the start. Hillary reportedly helped prepare her own IV bags before the procedure even began, despite having no medical training or license to do so. She was awake for most of it, talking with staff, even assisting by suturing her own skin back together at one point. Then, according to witness accounts collected by investigators, things turned. Hillary began convulsing. She told people in the room her vision was blurring, that she was seeing color where there shouldn't be any. And according to the Florida Department of Health's own investigative report, staff in that office asked Dr. Brown more than once whether they should call 911.
There is a 911 police fire ambulance. I have an emergency. All right, who do you need? Police, fire, ambulance? Ambulance. We have an unstable patient. Okay, tell me the address. Hello? Hello? Ma'am, what's your address? Okay, are you there with the patient now? Yes. Okay, we do have help on the way. What exactly happened? She was having surgery. This is a plastic surgery office. And she's unstable, she's having
The answer, they say, was no, not yet. Wait. By the time paramedics were finally called, Hillary was in cardiac arrest. She was rushed to the hospital, placed on life support, and for 7 days her family held on to hope. On November 28, 2023, Hillary Brown died. It would take investigators and the state attorney's office months to build their case. Brown wasn't arrested until June of 2024, nearly 7 months after Hillary's death, when he turned himself in and was booked on a charge of second-degree felony homicide, manslaughter by culpable negligence. The medical examiner's office had, by then, reached a conclusion.
Just let me inform you, I guess. I don't see reason for more now, but basically we got a med call at a doctor's office here in Navarre where I guess a plastic surgeon was working on his wife, and then we were told she went into cardiac arrest. I guess Seville is going to just get all their names and do a quick info on it just in case something comes back where somebody says, oh, he was trying to kill her.
Months later, Dr. Brown is charged with manslaughter by culpable negligence after the medical examiner determined Hillary Brown died from complications of lidocaine toxicity. But the defense says the medical examiner shouldn't be allowed to testify that lidocaine toxicity caused Hillary Brown's death, arguing she isn't.
Hillary Brown, they determined, died from complications of lidocaine toxicity, an overdose essentially of the local anesthetic used throughout her procedures. For a case like this to work, prosecutors need that cause of death to hold up in front of a jury, which is exactly why what happened next may end up mattering more than almost anything else in this trial. Dr. Brown's defense team, led by prominent Florida attorney Mark O'Mara.
Based on this, you don't even have a reliable cause of death, and there's disagreement. So the defense has to grab for what they can, and they're doing that in this case.
They certainly are, and you're right. He does have a really good defense team. Mark O'Mara is a famed criminal defense attorney from Florida. He represented George Zimmerman in the Trayvon Martin case. He's handled many other big, high-profile cases. He's a very good lawyer, but we still have
the same lawyer who once represented George Zimmerman went straight at the foundation of the state's case. If lidocaine toxicity is the official cause of death, they argued, then the person who made that call needs to be qualified to make it. And here's the problem. The defense zeroed in on the medical examiner in this case. Dr. Deanna Olesk is not a toxicologist. She's not even a clinician.
Dr. Deanna Oleski took the stand And during questioning, she acknowledged that she isn't a clinician or a toxicologist.
Lidocaine toxicity is a clinical diagnosis. I am not a clinician. No, sir. Correct. I would not ever swear that I am an expert in as a toxicologist. I did not determine what concentration was used. I had no idea what percent strength lidocaine Dr. Brown had kept in his office. I was trying to differentiate something that you would take directly from a vial, 1% or 2%, versus something of the tumescent solution that is made.
Okay, and to be clear, let's just clear that a little bit. The substance out of the vial, I think you said it might be 1%, it might be 2%, right? And have you looked into that being a standard concentration of lidocaine when it's delivered in those vials?
I have looked into it, and yes, 1% or 2% are the commonest concentrations.
Under questioning, she confirmed exactly that, acknowledging on the stand that determining lidocaine toxicity is, by nature, a clinical diagnosis, and that toxicology as a field studies the effects of drugs and chemicals on the body in a way
concentrations. Toxicology is a field that studies toxins and drugs.
Okay. And their effect on the body.
It can, yes.
Well, I mean, that's the whole purpose of toxicologists, right? To determine what a drug or a substance will do to a body, correct?
They can also determine what chemical it is, for example, outside the body.
And would you acknowledge that toxicologists would be more aware and sort of up to date on such matters as half-life and the effect of certain toxins on the body than you would be?
I believe that they have a better understanding, because of their specialty, of, yes, how certain drugs may interact with each other.
goes beyond her own specialty. The defense pressed further. Where did the claim that undiluted lidocaine had been used actually come from? Not from medical records. Dr. Olesk admitted it came from statements collected during the law enforcement investigation.
Where did you get that information from, that it was, quote, undiluted, end quote?
I received that information as part of law enforcement's investigation in their interview with witnesses.
Did you get any of that from any medical record?
I did not.
Did you actually get, or did you review the medical records to suggest that the opposite was true? That there was no undiluted lidocaine used or administered? You did review the medical records in their entirety, correct?
I did, yes.
And you did include in that review his clinical notes, correct?
Correct.
And just so we're clear, the clinical records, clinical notes from the doctor, they were pretty complete, were they not?
When I eventually finally got them, they were done per the usual standard of care that I have seen.
Right, and they include everything that he did give, the amount of drugs that he gave beforehand, the amount of Xylocaine that he was using during the procedures, everything that you would normally see in clinical notes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there's nothing in those clinical notes that suggested any level of undiluted Xylocaine, was there?
I did not recall anything in his notes where he included in his line item of drugs that he had given her to include undiluted Xylocaine.
When pushed on whether Dr. Brown's own clinical notes supported that claim, she conceded they didn't. There was a tense moment when the defense asked about a specific lidocaine level drawn from Hillary's blood at the hospital. Dr. Olesk didn't have the exact number in front of her. When the defense suggested a figure and asked whether that number could be independently verified, the exchange grew sharp enough that...
So you know from the medical records that there was a blood level of lidocaine taken of the patient, correct?
A hospital lidocaine level was drawn, yes.
And where did it come from?
Where'd what come from?
Blood, eye fluid, vitreous fluid?
I hope it wasn't eye fluid in a live person, but I believe it came from the blood. I don't know if it was a peripheral blood or a central arterial stick.
Okay. And what was the level?
I don't recall, I don't have that in front of me right now.
If I said it was 3.4, would you contest that?
It was high enough to cause seizures and clinical symptoms of lidocaine toxicity.
I know that's your determination, but that wasn't my question, was it?
That was my
question
answer.
Based upon your experience as a medical doctor and having seen this for a while, and having
It
done this kind
is
of work. Hold on.
irresponsible to go back
All
and
right.
calculate.
Hold on, man.
Sorry.
Mr. Omar, be careful in how you ask the
I
questions.
will.
You are raising the temperature of this conversation, and be careful not to.
And I do
go down.
apologize. I apologize.
The judge had to step in and ask both sides to bring the temperature down. Then came the defense's strongest card, an outside expert. Dr. Christopher Borgert, a pharmacologist and toxicologist trained at the University of Florida, testified that the science doesn't support the medical examiner's conclusion the way she presented it. According to Borgert, lidocaine levels rise over time following an injection. They don't fall, which complicates any theory built around a single blood draw taken hours later. He argued that a reliable cause of death determination requires walking through multiple possible scenarios and testing each one against the evidence, and that
received a PhD in medical sciences from the University of Florida Department of Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics. I then did a postdoctoral fellowship in toxicology at the University of Florida Center for Environmental and Human Toxicology. In every published example, levels are going up, still increasing. I'll draw it for you, backwards for you. Still increasing, backwards to me, so that you can think about it from left to right in your context. Still increasing at 6 hours. In no case is a level higher at a previous time point. That's one scenario. So that scenario would predict that Hillary Brown would be well below 5, what's universally considered, even considering sensitive individuals, below 5 nanograms per mil is within the therapeutic range. Above 1.5 nanograms per mil to 5 is non-toxic. And I apologize for going on that.
No,
I was getting
I
into
can-
the weeds, but what I'm trying to convey is that her methodology failed to do that. She failed to break out those various scenarios and say, okay, under one scenario, what information, what does that 3.4 tell us? She didn't lay out those scenarios and then systematically evaluate them to determine which one made sense. She instead used a